The dusty sun of the western plains beat down on the small frontier town, its streets filled with traders, gamblers, and men who lived by the edge of the law. That day, however, something darker than the usual roughness of cowboy life unfolded. A woman, her face streaked with dirt and tears, her dress torn and clinging to her frame, was being dragged through the town square by her own brother. His grip was merciless, a rope tied cruelly around her wrists as if she were nothing more than livestock to be sold off for profit. The townsfolk whispered, some too afraid to intervene, others turning away in shame. But all of them knew what was happening. He was selling his own blood to the highest bidder, a heartless act born out of greed and cruelty. She stumbled and fought, her voice breaking with cries of protest, but no one stepped forward. And then, from the shadow of the saloon doors, a figure emerged. Broad-shouldered, his hat tilted low, his boots heavy against the wooden planks. The cowboy walked with a purpose that silenced the crowd. His eyes, hardened by years of loss and battles fought on dusty trails, locked onto the woman's terror. And something inside him stirred. He had seen brutality before, but there was something about this moment that demanded his hand, his heart, and his honor. As the brother barked out her price, shouting like a man selling cattle, the cowboy stepped forward, his voice calm but edged with steel. "I'll pay it," he said, tossing a heavy pouch of coins at the brother's boots. The metallic clink rang through the street, silencing even the whispering crowd. The brother sneered, counting greedily, and without a shred of remorse, shoved his sister forward, the rope still biting into her skin. She stumbled into the cowboy's chest, her wide eyes lifting to meet his. For the first time she saw not disgust or pity, but a shield of strength standing between her and the cruelty of the world. He untied the rope with steady hands, careful not to hurt her, and with each knot undone, her chains to shame and betrayal fell away. "No man owns you," he whispered just loud enough for her to hear. "But from this day, you'll never stand alone. You're mine now, not as property but as my own, under my protection." His words were not chains but wings, a promise carved into the air with the certainty of a vow. The brother, realizing the exchange was final, cursed under his breath and slinked away, his pockets heavy but his soul hollow. The crowd watched as the cowboy took the woman's trembling hand and placed it gently in his, steadying her shaking body. She wanted to collapse, to weep for the betrayal of her own kin, but his presence gave her the strength to stand taller. They walked through the street together, each step a defiance to the cruelty that had almost consumed her. The people who had once turned away now watched with awe, whispers shifting into murmurs of respect. The cowboy's act was not just a purchase. It was a declaration, a message to every man and woman in town that some souls could not be broken, and some hearts could not be bought with gold. That night, by the flickering firelight of his cabin on the outskirts of town, she sat wrapped in a blanket, her hands still trembling as she tried to process the day. He poured her a cup of water, sitting across from her with a steady calm. "Why?" she asked finally, her voice a cracked whisper. "Why would you pay for me?" He looked into the fire, his jaw tightening before he met her gaze. "Because no woman should be left to the wolves. Because I've lost too much already, and I won't watch another soul be destroyed while I stand idle. You're not a debt, not a burden. You're free now, and if you'll allow it, you'll be mine not in chains, but in choice." Tears welled in her eyes again, but this time they weren't born from fear or despair. They were born from relief, from the dawning light of hope. For the first time in years, she felt as if she had worth, as if she was not a piece to be bartered, but a person meant to live, breathe, and be cherished. Days turned into weeks, and with every sunrise, she grew stronger by his side. The town that once saw her dragged through the dirt now saw her ride horseback. With the cowboy, her head held high, her laughter echoing against the hills. He never once treated her as less, never once reminded her of the day he paid her price. To him, that day was not a purchase. It was a rescue, a redemption, the beginning of something neither of them had dared to dream. And as she stood one evening by the wooden fence, watching him saddle his horse, She whispered a vow to herself, "I may have been sold, but now I'm found. I may have been betrayed, but now I am loved." The cowboy, hearing her soft words, turned with a smile and tipped his hat, as if to seal her promise with his own unspoken one. Together, they walked a path carved not by money or greed, but by choice, sacrifice, and love stronger than any bond of blood or betrayal. And that, friends, is the story of a woman once dragged to be sold, but saved by a cowboy who saw her worth and called her his own. If this story touched your heart, imagine the many more tales waiting to be told. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video with others who love stories of courage, redemption, and love that conquers even the darkest betrayals. Your support helps bring more powerful stories like this to life.